What actually keeps your family safe during a home intrusion? Most people start with what is in the safe, but the 8 factors that matter most have almost nothing to do with what you bought. From deadly myths to the single post-incident decision that determines whether you walk free or face charges, this countdown ranks each by real-world impact. Starting at number 8, the dangerous lies almost everyone still believes. 8th place opens with the myths that quietly undermine home safety. The belief that a shotgun doesn't need aiming falls apart under real data. At 3 yards, nearly 90% of pellets hit the target, but by 15 yards, pattern density drops to just 30%, leaving wide gaps and raising the chance of a miss. The claim that bigger caliber means better protection also misleads. Studies show that under stress, shooters using larger calibers experience about a 12% lower hit rate compared to moderate calibers, mostly due to increased recoil and slower recovery. Attachment overload is another trap. Adding unnecessary lights, lasers, or optics raises miss rates by 3 to 5%, especially for those who haven't trained with the extra gear. Simplicity and control matter more than raw power or gadgets. The numbers make it clear. What you think you know about home defense can put you at risk. Responsible preparation starts with letting go of these persistent myths. Number 7 brings the legal landscape into sharp focus. The fate of anyone who uses a firearm in self-defense hinges less on what was used and more on the doctrines and statutes that govern deadly force. Across the United States, the Castle Doctrine protects most homeowners from prosecution when defending against an intruder inside their dwelling. Yet the boundaries shift quickly once you step outside or encounter a complex scenario. 26 states have enacted stand-your-ground laws, removing the duty to retreat anywhere a person has a legal right to be. In these places, the law presumes reasonable fear, and some provide civil immunity after an immunity hearing. But that shield is not absolute. In contrast, states like California and New York still require retreat, if possible, outside the home, and scrutinize whether the force used was truly necessary and proportional. Meanwhile, a growing number of attorneys general, 19 since 2023, have issued child access prevention advisories, warning that failure to lock up firearms can trigger felony charges even if no injury occurs. The difference between criminal acquittal and a civil lawsuit often comes down to nuances in state law. In home defense, misunderstanding these doctrines is more dangerous than any technical mistake, exposing responsible owners to criminal charges or financial ruin. The lesson is clear: legality, not hardware, determines the outcome after the fact. Number 6 brings the spotlight to safe storage and child access prevention, where the law draws a hard line between ownership and responsibility. In California, failing to lock up a firearm when minors are present can trigger fines from $1,000 to $5,000 and up to 6 months in jail under Senate Bill 1135. Illinois goes further, classifying negligent access by a minor as a Class 4 felony, with penalties reaching 2 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Ontario's Firearm Storage Act sets its own bar. Unsecured firearms can mean a $5,000 penalty and up to 12 months behind bars, even if no harm occurs. These are not just warnings, they are enforced statutes, and prosecutors often cite the ATF model safe storage guidance when pressing charges. Documentation matters. Receipts for lockboxes, proof of compliance, and clear records can tip the scales in an investigation. The consequences for ignoring these mandates are immediate and severe. Secure storage is not just a precaution, it is a legal imperative for anyone who keeps a firearm at home. Number 5 brings attention to the physical realities of overpenetration, a risk that extends beyond the initial confrontation. When a bullet misses or passes through its intended target, what happens next depends on both the ammunition and the construction of the home. Standard full metal jacket rounds, especially from high-velocity rifles, have more than a 60% chance of traveling through multiple interior drywall layers, entering adjacent rooms with enough energy to cause serious injury. In contrast, frangible projectiles are engineered to break apart on impact, reducing the probability of reaching a neighboring room to less than 20%. Gelatin testing consistently shows that while most defensive handgun and rifle rounds meet the FBI's 12-inch minimum for penetration, many continue through 2 or even 3 walls before stopping, especially in homes built with half-inch drywall and hollow core doors. The choice of ammunition and a clear understanding of wall materials become critical, not just for stopping an intruder, but for protecting anyone else in the home. A misset shot can have consequences far outside the intended line of fire, making thoughtful planning and risk assessment as important as any other aspect of home defense. Number 4 brings the human factor into sharp relief. Under stress, even highly trained individuals face measurable limits. Decision-making slows by 250 milliseconds, and marksmanship accuracy can drop by 15% when adrenaline surges. Military research shows that in high-pressure situations, roughly 6% of people experience a complete functional shutdown, unable to act at all for critical moments. These figures are not just statistics, they underscore why simple practiced plans outperform complicated tactics during a home emergency. The body's acute stress response narrows focus, but it also clutters mental processing, making complex decisions and fine motor tasks more difficult. Training that incorporates stress inoculation, exposing participants to simulated pressure, can reduce these effects, but no amount of preparation eliminates them entirely. The lesson is clear. The more straightforward and rehearsed your response, the less likely you are to freeze or make costly errors when seconds count. Rigorous, realistic training is not just a recommendation, it is a necessity for bridging the gap between intention and action when the stakes are highest. Coming to the top 3, practical civilian training standards take center stage. Law enforcement data point to a clear benchmark. About 40 hours of scenario-based instruction reliably produces a 90% or better success rate in simulated home defense drills. This isn't just time on the range, it's a structured regimen that blends decision-making under pressure with realistic, low-light scenarios. A weekly drill template distills the essentials: 5 minutes of breath control, 10 minutes of dry fire practice, and 30 rounds of live fire, all focused on rapid, accurate responses. The evidence shows that when shooters consistently train with weapon-mounted lights or red dot optics, target acquisition speeds up by 12%, a measurable edge when every second counts. These standards turn general awareness into actionable skill, bridging the gap between knowing what to do and being able to do it under stress. The path to proficiency is neither extreme nor out of reach. It's a disciplined commitment to regular, scenario-driven practice that prepares the operator for whatever their environment might demand next. Number 2 shifts the focus from personal readiness to the structure itself: home hardening and layout planning. In most residences, hallways average 0.8 meters wide, and doorways are typically 0.9 meters across. These tight dimensions shape every defensive scenario, limiting movement and line of sight. Data from law enforcement case reviews show that nearly 68% of confrontations inside the home occur at distances of 5 meters or less, underscoring how quickly an intruder can close the gap. Physical upgrades like reinforced doors, high-lumen exterior lighting, and audible alarms don't just delay forced entry. They cut the likelihood of a successful break-in by a measurable margin. Studies on residential security find that homes with visible alarm systems and well-lit entry points experience significantly fewer intrusion attempts, as would-be offenders avoid high-risk targets. Planning for a safe room, or at least a space with a solid core door and secondary lock, offers a last line of defense without escalating to force. The evidence is clear. Environmental deterrence and smart layout choices reduce both the need for confrontation and the risk to everyone inside. When the structure works for you, the odds of ever needing to make a split-second decision drop dramatically. And finally, in first place, the decisive moment after a defensive firearm use demands a clear, lawful sequence of actions. The first step is always to call 911 immediately, stating calmly that you are the homeowner and that a firearm was discharged in self-defense. Preserving the scene comes next. Avoid moving the weapon, spent casings, or any other evidence unless it is necessary to provide medical aid. Take note of magazine count, loaded status, and any visible damage. but do not disturb the area before law enforcement arrives. Documentation is critical. Keep records of your firearm serial number, proof of safe storage, and any receipts for lockboxes or safety devices. Within the first 24 hours, contact an attorney experienced in self-defense law and notify your insurer, as most policies require prompt reporting to preserve coverage. Each of these actions protects not just your legal standing, but also your moral responsibility to act with restraint and clarity. The aftermath of a home defense incident is shaped less by what happened in the moment and more by how you respond in the minutes and hours that follow. In the end, the ultimate measure is not just survival, but accountability for yourself, your household, and your community. Across all 8 factors, one truth stands out. Home defense is shaped less by hardware and more by preparation and restraint, and by what happens after the crisis. Responsible decisions, not just equipment, define real security today. In the end, safety starts and ends with the choices you make. Stay informed, stay safe.